All right, Xtra Point Podcast. We're recording this on a Sunday. Currently, the Patriots are playing the Seahawks, and it looks like the Patriots are up by 1 touchdown. Cam Newton just rushed in. Thomas, first podcast back since football has started again.
Da-da-da-da.
How was your experience with football coming back into your life been? Your team's 1-1. Big win against the Bengals.
Week 1, it was piss. But week 2, it was all right.
Yeah. I don't know. I know we're probably going to talk about this later because we're going to have a section of the show where we're going to talk about some of the overreactions and these like narratives that fans like to blow up. And I'm going to play the role of a fan. Thomas is going to shit all over me as I give these takes and these overreactions at this point.
Some of them might not be bad,
yeah,
depending on what they are.
We'll see. I'll bring some up to you, and you decide whether you want to shit on me like Odell or not. And then we'll figure it out from there. You know that's not going to die all season.
Well, the fact because he didn't come out and be like, y'all are dumb. Like, what the hell? Like,
he's just like,
I'm just stay silent. I'm like, I'm going to hope it blows over. Like,
that's going to be with you for the rest of your career, bro. Those jokes are just going to be there.
If he wants to keep catching touchdowns, I'll shit on him. It's fine.
Okay. Well,
although I'm not a hot girl, so he might not like that for me.
Well, everyone's kinks are different. So the Browns. So you guys got absolutely routed by the Ravens.
Yes, which I felt was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's to be expected.
Yeah. I was a little worried after the game because Baker looked skittish and kind of like how he did after week 1. But seeing him play a bad defense week 2 against the Bengals, I'm definitely a little more comfortable. My dog just jumped into frame. It's great. Definitely a little more comfortable and definitely way more positive about the Browns as a whole. They kind of look like where I expected them to look like. I think absolute best case scenario, everything breaks our way. 8-8 is possible, highly unlikely. Realistically, we're winning 4 or 5 games, and I'm fine with that.
I could see 6. I was looking at y'all's schedule. I could see 6. But, I mean, to be fair, you've probably not – like that team has had the most extreme week-to-week matchup thus far where you played probably
the
1 or 2.
Team and then one of the lowest.
Yeah, and so it's like, what can you really gather? Like, what is that team? You actually get dicked by a really good team, and you absolutely – well, you didn't destroy the Bengals, so I mean, that game was close. The game was somewhat close.
To our other thing is our defense is very, very bad.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the Jets and the Bengals, we may have the worst defense in the league currently. Now, it's not a healthy defense. Mac Wilson, who's supposed to be coming back next week, we basically have guys off the street starting a linebacker. Greedy Williams is out, which I don't know how much better our defensive secondary would be with him. Grant Delpit's out. We have a lot of people out, but our defense was never going to be very good to begin with. We just don't have a lot of talent, and we have this weird approach where we're just like, linebackers aren't important, and I don't. Hopefully that gets remedied next season, but that's where we're at as a team. Our O-line looks significantly better. Jedrick Wills is very, very good. He is as advertised. I think he'll be our franchise left tackle for a decade at least. Very happy with him so far. Chris Hubbard, who last year I said multiple times he's probably the worst starting tackle in the league, filled in at right tackle against the Bengals and played well. Played very well. Played, honestly, I would go as far to say super good. It is against the Bengals. They still had Carl Lawson. They still had Carlos Dunlap, so he didn't play against nobodies. But he played very well, which was not the case last year. So I think he's gotten better. I think our coaching staff as a whole has gotten better. I think that's pretty obvious, though, from last year.
That's the fancy scheme, which in essence is the Kubiak scheme and the zone run play action scheme. Looks real fucking nice when it works and looks real fucking shitty when it doesn't.
It looks so bad because a lot of it has to do with like going out and making plays in space, and if a play is just not there, then it literally just looks like it's like, oh fuck, like it looks like the worst.
Yeah, but when it works, the quarterback has so much time to throw.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's beautiful.
I mean, it's very if you can really, and you have 2 good running backs. I mean, you got Kareem, who can't believe he's still playing, and Nick Chubb. So you got 2, very solid running backs. It makes it work, and it worked with the Vikings. It probably works with the Browns at this point, but Yeah, that defense is questionable. Speaking of bad defenses,
Ooh.
the Vikings have been fucking shit.
A lot of that is because your D-line is Daniel Hunter didn't play this week either, right?
He's out. He's out for at least 3 on IR. So
who's the opposite end?
Ifeadi Odenigbo.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, he's not that bad against the run, but with Michael Pierce out and your D tackles are then Shamar Stephen and who else?
It's a rotation of guys. You know, we get like Jalen Johnson. Is that his name? Jaleel Johnson in there. We get Armani Watts in there.
Okay.
Things like that. We just have a rotation of guys that are not very good.
That's tough.
Yeah. So we haven't been able to stop the run. We haven't really been able to stop the pass either. So it's like we haven't been able to stop anything.
It's great. It's good.
You know, we have young corners. Who you're expecting your young corners to play like young corners, but you were hoping that, you know, you got these 2 experienced safeties over the top, and they've been blowing things over the top, and that's just not been good. And you're like, well, you know, maybe if there's a little bit of pass rush, you know, you can kind of bail out the corners there. They don't have to sit on their guy for 8 seconds and hope he doesn't get open. That hasn't been the case, even against a slow, non-mobile guy like Phillip Rivers. The pressure is a little bit better today, but, you know, this was like the extreme, like how you guys had the extreme of playing, you know, one of the best teams and one of the worst. We had a team of playing one of the most mobile quarterbacks, even though he's kind of, you know, digressing from that point. He's not the same mobile guy he was like 8 years ago, but he's still, you know, he can buy time. He didn't really have to against the Vikings, but he can. To Phillip Rivers, who just stands in there, and we got more pressure. Yannick played better. We had a strip sack. They recovered it, whatever. But, you know, today our offense didn't play well. Our defense played marginally better, but our offense played well week 1. Didn't play well this week. I don't know what I'm looking at with this team. It could be 8-8. It could be 6-10. If we can't beat the team that lost to the Jaguars, then it's like what are our hopes?
Well, the good news for you is I think the Lions are going to be super bad going forward, and I think the Bears have lucked into 2-0.
That's fair.
So, although you did give up almost 50 points to the Packers, correct?
Yes, it was like 42, I think.
You still scored like what, 35?
Yeah, but like 21 of that was in the fourth quarter when they stopped playing.
Okay. Well,
so...
all I'm saying is I think the Vikings the last couple of years have had slow starts and then they kind of find a groove. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it might. It's definitely, when Daniel Hunter comes back, that will definitely help. Y'all will basically be giving up a shitload in the run every game, just because you don't have a presence on the interior D-line. I mean, and you can't fault Michael Pierce for choosing to opt out, but like, fuck, man.
Yeah, that fucked us. And then Daniil Hunter out. I think now we're a team that's looking like, well, 2021, our D-line, if we re-sign Yannick, it's going to be fucking great.
Yeah.
And a year of experience on the corners.
Yeah. I think that'll help more than anything. I think everyone just needs to stay healthy. It's going to be big for y'all's defense, and it's going to be some moves made just simply so y'all can stay under the cap as well. So we'll see. Yep. I think the Vikings are going to be an interesting situation to look at for a couple years in the future. So
I am a little worried that if things do go to absolute shit, you know, how long does the Wilf family and our ownership group go, you know, it's been every year. It's playoffs, no playoffs for like the last 6 years. And so, like, how long can we keep doing that? You've had like a vulnerable offensive line that hasn't been good. Like even though it actually hasn't really been the problem this season thus far. It's really been our defense. And also, we can't run the ball. Like, we can, but we don't.
Yeah.
I don't get why that's happening. And maybe it's that we're down in games, but even early, we're not running it enough. And we're taking a lot of deep shots that we don't need to be taking. Where if we, you just sign your running back to like, what, a 5-year deal?
Something like that.
Give the guy some carries now. This is the situation when you start giving him carries. You've now signed him to a contract. Don't get scared with him now.
Our last episode, Dalvin Cook wasn't signed yet, correct?
He was not, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
happened right before the season.
Yeah, his contract's not bad, especially for someone as good as Dalvin Cook. I would have just been like, look, dog, like,
You're a running back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to come to a deal, and we did. But okay. So the first thing I want to, I guess it's not the first thing now. We just talked about the Vikings and the Browns. But I want to, the first, segment I think I want to do on this show is we have a couple teams now who are sitting at 0-2. And one of them being the Vikings. And, you kind of want to assess what that means going forward. Only 12%, I looked this up, only 12% of teams that start 0-2 since it's been recorded make the playoffs. So it's very unlikely. I feel like
Browns got a chance.
Yeah. The 2-0 teams, I think the stat was something like 50% make it. So,
which at that point, whatever.
Yeah. But, 12% at 0-2. 0-2 is not a fun place, especially that's just making the playoffs. Making the Super Bowl at 0-2, that's going to be tough. So we got a few teams at 0-2, and I want to go through some of the surprising ones, the ones maybe we weren't expecting to be 0-2 at this point in the season, and kind of gauge your assessment on the panic level for those teams. What are we looking at? I'm going to leave out the Jets. They were probably going to be 0-2. Yeah. Dolphins, they're still figuring it out.
Yeah, they're not really in any situation right now.
I think this is the first interesting one, and that's the Broncos in the AFC West. I think they were the second team besides the Chiefs in that division that people were really thinking, the Raiders, we don't know we're getting out of the Raiders really. This Derek Carr seems to be on his last legs. Josh Jacobs is good, whatever, but they're 1-0. We haven't seen them play yet, so they're not going to fall in that 0-2 category. And then the Chargers, we didn't really think were going to be that big of a threat this year because they seem to be in a sort of rebuild but not complete rebuild mode where it was it's probably they're going to have to wait till Herbert develops.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about Herbert here in a second because surprisingly out of fucking nowhere, I'm watching some Red Zone and they cut over and I see number 10 back there. And yeah, I was not expecting that. That made that game a lot more interesting because I was like, this is just going to be a Chiefs victory and whatever, and the Chargers probably going to look all right. But then Herbert was playing a lot more interesting. But anyway, let's talk about the Broncos. Drew Lockwood down today. Do we know his status? Do we know if he's out?
Apparently, he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks.
Ooh, okay, that's rough. Word. So Jeff Driscoll time in Denver.
Who actually he
looked okay.
Really didn't play bad. I mean that
team talent-wise is stacked. They have some good guys on that offense.
Not across the offensive line, which I think unfortunately is going to be their big downfall. They didn't pick up Garrett Bowles' fifth-year option, so unless he signs he's their left tackle. Unless he signs a very team-friendly deal, I doubt he'll be back. I don't know why he wouldn't sign a team-friendly deal since he's not that good. But I don't know.
I think you have a couple capable pass catchers, a couple good running backs, and will that team do anything this season? What's your panic level on a scale of green is don't worry, and then the scale color, yellow, orange, red.
I would say just green because I don't think this is really going to be their year anyhow. I think you can reasonably be like, if we win 5 games, 6 games this year, whatever. I don't, like I said, I thought they were going to do well. I thought Drew Lock was going to do well, but if he doesn't knock it out of the park this year, if he comes back and he's not fantastic, if they win only 6 games, whatever. They weren't really going to win that division. So
yeah, I thought they had a chance to vie for another, one of those extra playoff spots. And if we're talking just this year, I think it's a panic level red. You don't want your starting quarterback missing 4 to 6 weeks.
It's not ideal.
Those almost can all be chalked up to losses.
For this season, you're not going to win a whole lot of games without Drew Lock and with Jeff Driscoll. But I think for the future, whatever. Unless ownership is win fucking now, win now, which I don't know why they would be. They're a very young team offensively and defensively. They lost some key guys. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure on the Broncos right now to win right now. So that's why I'm unconcerned.
Yeah, I'd say for me it's maybe a yellow long term. Just because, this team was set up. Now maybe it's just a green. It's very close to a green or a yellow just because we're sitting in a place where it's your quarterback got injured. So can we really judge this season against you? And But would they have been 0-2 even if Drew Lock played?
Maybe not. They had a good game against the Titans. It was a semi-low scoring game. Weird offensive play calling moments, but they could have won that game for sure.
Okay, back from technical difficulty. Thomas's struggles over here. So I was saying Vic Fangio was sus as a play call, not a play caller, as a game manager. And that last week, what was it? It was the not calling timeouts.
Yeah.
And then this week, well, they just got beat. I don't know if it was really his fault this week, but I guess last week, I don't know. He's a great defensive coach, but has he been a head coach before?
I don't believe so, but I could also be very wrong because I feel like he's been in the league a long time. I'm currently looking it up. Vic Fangio.
Now, he was their head coach last year.
Mm-hmm. No, he has never been a head coach anywhere.
Yeah. So,
as far as Wikipedia can tell me.
Obviously he's a rookie, at least in the head coaching world. And so you wonder how that's working. But he's had a year, so anyway, the Broncos long term, Vic Fangio is probably the guy just because, their offense seems to work, and whoever their offensive coordinator is fine. And then Vic Fangio was a great defensive coach with the Bears, and I know that defense doesn't have as much talent as it did, but it's probably not the Broncos defense of 2015 in that era, but it still has a few pieces, and they'll continue to add to it. And I think Vic Fangio as a play caller on defense is fine. So I think the team, just overall prospects are good, and you can't account. This season might be a red because it's probably over now. You miss your quarterback for 6 weeks, but overall, green.
Overall, green. Like I said, not a lot of whole pressure for them to win right now, at least from common whatever. So green, whatever. Come back next year, try again.
If anything, they're just gonna have to start worrying about rebuilding that defense.
Something that was interesting was if for some reason Jeff Driscoll went down today, then Royce Freeman would have been the emergency quarterback.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know what that would have looked like. I was curious.
Probably would have looked bad.
Okay, next, not a surprise, but I feel like we're talking about Bengals at 0-2. They are clearly the worst team in that division.
Yes.
But we now have a young Joey Burrow.
Joseph Burrow.
Who brings an edge to that team and hope to that team that maybe I actually want to watch some Bengals games. And that's
good.
The first time in ever that I've felt like I wanted to watch Bengals games. So that's good for the city.
Joseph Lee Burrow.
This season's probably red for them just because
this season is about don't kill Joe Burrow. Please don't kill Joe Burrow. Don't do it.
And this might be, as much as was said about him coming in, this goes for a lot of first overall pick quarterbacks, is you're going to a team that's bad. And yes, there's a level to it which is not good, because that means you probably don't have a good offensive line protecting you. You probably don't have the right amount of weapons around you. But what it can mean is that you're playing from behind a lot, which can kind of, forge a quarterback by fire in situations where hey, you have to win this game.
You have to get 60 passing attempts against the Browns.
And if it works, and if
quarterback hits.
If you're good enough as a quarterback, you're probably still not going to win games. But, that training for when this team could eventually get good is going to help a lot when you find yourself down, but you actually have the talent to do something.
As long as his body doesn't collapse on itself.
Yeah, he did take some shots.
There was one shot by Porter Gustin, who had a great game for us, by the way, where it was a Myles Garrett strip sack, where Myles Garrett strip sacked it, and then Joe Burrow's like, oh, fuck, the ball, and completely opens himself up and just gets by our other defensive end, and it's like, oh,
and
I'm so sorry.
He tried to spin out Sheldon Richardson?
Yeah, so in college, he did that all the time, and it worked, but Sheldon Richardson, you can't do that to Sheldon Richardson. Sheldon Richardson's really good.
Yeah.
So it looked like shit, but that worked a lot in college.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work
his
quite.
Defense.
So, yeah, not much. Their prospects are about as red as it can be on a panic level this season.
So I think the most popular recent trend is sign a bridge quarterback so that your rookie can sit a year or sit a few games, so he can learn and get comfortable. And then the following year, when you have a little more talent around him, then start him. It's what the Dolphins are doing right now with Tua. It's what the Chargers are apparently going to continue to do with Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. It's what I thought. Yeah, apparently Tyrod Taylor's starting.
We'll see if that happens.
Well, that's what Anthony Lynn said. So whatever.
Why do I feel like there was something like that last year where they said that and that did not happen? But it was what quarterback was it?
It was probably no, it wasn't last year, was it? I don't know. That was the plan with Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield until Tyrod Taylor had one bad game, which I mean, I'm glad it worked out the way it did, of course, but
right.
I don't know. Joe Burrow reminds me a lot of Tim Couch in that situation where he was really, really good. Okay, hold on. Stay with me here. He was really, really good, and then he got hurt, and his team just let him down, and his body let him down because just the punishment that he took over the years. So, because Tim Couch was good. I think he would have been one of the better quarterbacks of the early 2000s had the Browns not sent him there to die. So...
Fair. Okay. Well, that's all we really need to say about the Bengals. Their defense is poop. And...
Their defense is probably arguably the worst. It's a very young defense, but their linebackers wanted none of our blockers when they were pulling, wanted none of our fullbacks. Their DBs, who they actually have good DBs, just got beat. But I mean, we have good receivers, so whatever. But like shit, they're young and they need to grow up, or they're gonna be bad for a while. So
yeah, and that used to be the Bengals' trademark. If you could say anything about the Bengals, it was like, okay, well, they got this really aggressive defense.
Well, that's Marvin Lewis. He was there forever, but I think with good reason. They always had, at least for the most part, a competitive defense. So
okay, so yeah, Bengals read the season. How many games do you think they end up winning?
I'd have to look at their schedule, but not a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if they won one against the Browns later in the year. I expect us to have more injuries because that's just how it goes for us. Let's see if they play the Jets. Because if they play the Jets,
you got a free W right there. They play the Jets or the Giants at this point.
They play the Giants.
Oh, okay.
I could see them beating the Giants. I could see them randomly beating the Eagles just because the Eagles have been assing it up. We'll talk about them later. I could see them randomly beating like the Texans or something. But I feel like they'll win one surprise game. To be fair, maybe their surprise game was supposed to be the Chargers, but it doesn't look great for them.
This season's a wash, but through 2 games, Joe Burrow looks like the guy. So
yeah, Joe Burrow will be good. He'll be just fine. His poise he's already super good. He reminds me a lot of rookie Baker Mayfield, because rookie Baker Mayfield, his poise was great. He didn't give a crap. He was like, I'm delivering this goddamn ball, and that's what Joe Burrow did, to his detriment sometimes. Also, someone needs to teach him how to slide and not dive, because he will die. And I know he said in college, like, oh, I don't slide. Dog, you need to slide. You need to slide. Just do it. Yeah, that O-line needs to get better. I expect them to draft Oregon left tackle Penei Sewell.
Okay.
Whatever. So.
Okay, fair enough.
They're not going to win many games, but again, no pressure to win. Keep Joe Burrow alive.
Okay, last team in the AFC we're going to talk about here at 0-2, the local Houston Texans. Starting at 0-2. And this one, I have my feeling on this reading, but where on the scale of the panic meter are they at 0-2?
Bright, dark red.
Oh, really? I was not going to go that far. I was going to say they're probably a yellow because they played the Chiefs and then the Ravens.
Sure.
So that's,
but
what
offense,
they could still win 9 games.
They could still win 9 games, but I think with the way their roster is built and the way that everything's going on with their roster and how their roster is aging, they're in win now mode, and they don't have a roster for win now.
They don't have
the talent for win now.
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, I was gonna say, think Bill O'Brien is not a good coach. You can kind of see, and this was more apparent in the Chiefs game when the game started. So every team has a script of plays offensively that they run. It's probably like the first 18 plays. And when they were on the script, it's fine. Things were moving along. When they had to go off script, it was like, oh my God, this offense sucks. The Texans offense has been blech. Basically Bill O'Brien's entire tenure. If the Texans weren't set up the way they were set up, where Bill O'Brien is like the coach, GM, and like VP of operations, he would have been gone already if they had a proper GM. But that's how they're set up. I don't know if the new owners, since they're the kids of, I don't know if it's whoever McNair, the owner was that recently died. I don't know if they're going to really have the intestinal fortitude to move on from Bill O'Brien, but they need to. They're not, unless I'm just wrong, and they beat up on all the mediocre teams and bad teams. But, like, geez, man, how can you get Deshaun Watson and you're not balling? Because that's the other thing. Even today, like, they didn't win. Obviously, they lost. They got almost, like, they got beat pretty bad. So I don't see them winning with this staff. I don't see them winning unless they move on quickly from Bill O'Brien with most of their defensive talent still there. Like, I don't think they're going to win while J.J. Watt is still playing at a high level. Whitney Merciless is already not playing at a high level anymore. I just don't foresee them doing well without major change soon. So
they have a fairly difficult schedule this season. Matchups against the Steelers.
Might still win that division.
Yeah,
they might still win that division.
Tennessee,
Tennessee. I mean, Jacksonville. Even though they are Jacksonville, they're okay. They're playing all right. I don't think that'll continue, but if they win the division, cool. But it's kind of the same story. It's always been with the Texans, where they get in the playoffs, they play a team that's for real, and they're sunk. So.
Yeah. Kind of like the Vikings. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some NFC teams that are 0-2 at this point. Giants, kind of expected,
Yeah. They've had their secondary looks really, really bad. Like, their defense looks pretty bad in general. That's to be expected with DeAndre Baker not being a part of the team anymore due to his legal troubles. But also, they were kind of expected to be bad.
Yeah.
They do look pretty bad. Their O-line is definitely going to need some retooling very soon. I think Daniel Jones is fine.
Yeah, me too.
I think he can definitely be their starter.
Every time I watch a quarterback who can actually kind of move, I get super envious. I'm like, that is what's good in the NFL. Like, you live or die by your quarterback being able to move like 5 feet, and like, we don't have that in Minnesota. Saquon Barkley's down, so the prospect for the season are red as hell.
Yeah, you're not going to win many games. Again, though, I don't think there's a lot of pressure on you to win. It's going to be an ass season, but I think you'll kind of figure out where you are as a team and what you need. For example, they need secondary pass rush and O-line. I think they'll figure it out.
I think one bright spot, their receivers have looked pretty good.
The receivers have looked good, and what's weird about that is that there's not like a whole lot of name talent, I guess. Like Darius Slayton looks very good for them. He didn't have a big game today, but he still looks very good. Sterling Shepard's fine, who I think got hurt today. Like, they have decent receivers. That's not a huge pressing need. They can get away with filling other needs and improving in other areas while leaving that alone
and the
for the most part.
defense. Kind of just
defense.
You need to fix those two things. And if Saquon Barkley, ACLs, they're not what they used to be. But
you're fucking kidding.
I can still hear you, even though you're frozen. You're still good. Can you no longer hear me?
There you go.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're having technical difficulties today, guys, but we're pushing through it. So without Saquon Barkley, the season's kind of but towards the future, I don't think the prospects are red going into the future. I think
like I said,
they're probably
not
like
a
a
lot of
yellow.
pressure to win. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And then I think probably the most surprising one here, is the Eagles sitting here at 0-2.
Eagles.
I actually haven't watched either of the Eagles games, but they
Okay.
did lose. They did lose to Washington. Right now, as it stands, Washington and the Cowboys are leading that division.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you could have maybe expected the Cowboys. You definitely weren't expecting Washington.
Definitely not.
What's been going wrong with the Eagles at this point?
They look like shit. Offensively, they look terrible. Having O-line issues definitely is not ideal. They lost Andre Dillard before the season even started. But they look awful offensively. Carson Wentz looks skittish, looks hesitant, just doesn't look good, which he's good. They just look very, very bad. They're getting very, very cute with their usage of Jalen Hurts, which I'm not a fan of because just like they had like 10 run plays for Jalen Hurts. Like just run up with Miles Sanders.
They want.
Like, what are we doing?
They want Taysom Hill. They were infatuated by that.
But that only works because it's the Saints and everything works offensively.
Yeah, they can scheme that up in a certain way, and they're good at it situationally.
Yeah, the Eagles look like absolute shit. Like they look really bad. I think they'll get it together and they'll clean it up as the season goes. But for right now, like they play the Bengals next week, and that could be the surprise game the Bengals win because the Eagles have looked like shit.
Their prospect for this season.
Red.
Yeah, probably. The injuries are really what fucked them, I think.
Yeah, they definitely didn't help them, but I also think they're trying to do a lot of stuff on offense that doesn't necessarily work, or at least it's not working for them. And they've also they've looked unprepared. They've looked just befuddled. That Washington game was rough to watch. From if you were watching just the Eagles offense like I was for a period of time, I was like, oh my God. Just rough to watch.
Yeah, they have some key pieces on that offense that can make you kind of lower or raise your expectations for the future. Miles Sanders kind of looks like the real deal. Got 20 carries today, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Carson Wentz, we know if he can stay healthy, he can be productive, even though 2 interceptions today, not his greatest game. And then Jalen Reagor's looked all right. Jalen
Reagor's looked good, and he's playing through some stuff right now. He hurt his wrist or something the preseason pretty bad, and he hurt it again today, but he came back, so he's playing through stuff, and he still looked all right. So basically, and I'm not even saying Doug Peterson's going to get fired or anything because he's invincible for at least 2-3 more years because he won a Super Bowl
with Nick Foles. Yeah.
Yes, but they're in a tizzy right now, and they need to get out of it or they're going to have a really bad season, which may not be the worst thing with the draft talent that's there, but also you don't want to have a bad season when you have this many good pieces on offense, especially because Jason Peters, this is probably his last year playing since he's almost 40 years old playing offensive line. So you want to at least make a push for the playoffs, which they can do with this roster. So
yeah, not gonna happen this season. They were too whittled down by injury, but okay. So we've kind of already talked about the Vikings. I don't know if we need to talk about it again. But yeah, Vikings 0-2. I wouldn't have expected us 0-2. I thought we could have beat the Colts, and we didn't. And there's problems. The future outlook is better than the current outlook, but also questionable.
So I would like to take this Viking slot to shit on PFF a little bit.
Okay.
As PFF says that pass coverage is more important than pass rush, which A, is incorrect, and B, is stupid to say. So I think all of the Vikings' problems on defense has to come from that D-line just not being there. And also Anthony Barr, who was hurt today, but also just kind of him underperforming, not playing as good as he can.
It's do we know he can?
Because
he had one season where he was a high-graded linebacker, and then ever since then it's been middling. He's just been okay. Yeah. And there was a time when we were bringing him up in conversations with some of the top linebackers in the league, and that was way too premature, I think.
Well, I think y'all been asking him to do a lot more than what he's technically capable of. I think he's being, which I think is not like Zimmer being bad. I think it's just the reality of NFL defense today is linebackers have to cover and they have to cover well, and that's just not an Anthony Barr's skill set.
But even the pass rush, his pass rush,
not there.
Because now it was in his first few seasons, and I feel like we screwed the pooch there in the way that we fucking were like, you know what, we need you to cover. And maybe we hindered his development as a pass rusher because in that Packers game, I didn't think, I was like, we need to blitz more. That was one of my first thoughts. I was like, we get no pressure. We need to blitz more. Well, I look back and it seems that we did blitz we blitzed more than we did all season last season. And the person who blitzed the most was Anthony Barr.
Well, I think a lot of that problem comes from y'all's lack of talent on the defensive line. With Danielle Hunter, it will be better, obviously, but having two, I don't want to say practice squad players at defensive tackle, because they're not. They're on a roster. They're good. But not having, like, a solid option in the interior really hurts pass rush as linebackers because they just get waxed out of their lane, and it just doesn't work.
So I put the Vikings on a red on the panic scale for this season, and then like a yellow, maybe a little bit orange in the future because we're sitting there going, well, is Kirk Cousins the answer? Well, you're locked in, so you don't have a choice. Kirk Cousins has to be an answer. Is the offensive line going to improve? It hasn't in fucking 8 years. So is it going to? I don't know. Probably not. It never has. What makes me think it will? And then. You know, we just signed a running back to a long-term contract that we've decided we're not going to make the focus of our offense all of a sudden when that was the thing that was successful for us last year.
I expect that'll be fixed coming into next week.
I hope so.
Or at least there'll be more of an effort to get Dalvin Cook more involved. Y'all are also rotating running backs a lot more.
Yeah, Madison's playing a ton.
Year. Madison's playing. Boone played a lot today until he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's about. Maybe you're trying to like keep Dalvin Cook healthy.
But it's like you signed him to a long extension. Like,
but
use him.
Fuck it. Well, he's also got injury problems too, though. But I don't know what the logic is. But maybe that is the logic, and maybe next year they'll be like, all right, like listen, don't get hurt, because if you get hurt, then we're super fucked. But we have to run you, big dog. So maybe that's what'll happen next week. I don't know. The Vikings being tied to Kirk Cousins, for better or worse, is probably going to end up being this iteration of the team's downfall. I think Zimmer's still safe. I think Zimmer is probably the best coach y'all have had in a while.
Yes.
I just, unless you have like someone in mind, I think Zimmer's your dude, for better or worse. I think you can give him one more rebuild phase and see where that goes. But that's just what I think.
I'm starting to lean more towards like, are defensive head coaches still the thing in the NFL at this point? Some of our older ones that are, you know, prestiged and experienced are defensive. So like Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, those are defensive guys. But you look at the new wave of good coaches coming in, they're not defensive guys. They're offensive guys. And maybe that's kind of, you know, to keep up with today's. Would some of these young coaches go and bring in a guy like Kirk Cousins who's not a mobile quarterback? Like
especially no.
It doesn't fit what today's NFL is.
And also the phrase "defense wins championships" is wrong. It doesn't.
Not today. It doesn't.
Offense, the defense can give you an opportunity to win. Your offense has to be good, and your offense, you have to score. That's why a lot of these trends you'll also see where it's like offensive-minded coaches like Cliff Kingsbury or Sean McVay. They're just in charge of the offense, and then they just like, all right, DC, do what you're doing, because I need to focus on this, and that's why Adam Gase has a job, because he's supposed to be this revered offensive genius. I super glue my hands. But it's just offensive coaches are the new hotness, and they will be the new hotness.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Okay, last team we're going to talk about here is the Falcons.
Okay.
Sitting at 0-2. Where are they on your panic meter at this point?
Like, I don't want to say red, because like I think they'll be okay. But like, fuck, man, like
This loss today against the Cowboys, like we really shouldn't factor it. I know you're like, well, how do you miss an onside kick? But that was probably about as perfectly executed as it could have been. Like no one thought I was going past the 10, and it still it spun it away.
But also, 40 points should be enough to win you the damn game.
Yeah,
dude.
the defense is questionable, but that offense looks really good.
The offense is good, even though Julio Jones is still being used as a decoy. But he did have a big drop today, so kind of his fault as well. But just the Falcons are in a constant state of underachieving, it seems like. You look at their roster offensively, no real weak points. Matt Ryan is really good. Their O-line is solid across the board. A little young on the inside spots. Wide receivers, of course, are good. Running back, Todd Gurley's Todd Gurley, but they cycle in other people too. Defensively, they have very little pass rush. Takk McKinley's there. Dante Fowler's there, but Takk McKinley's probably gone after this year. But just like, it's almost like you're just like, get it together. Like, it's like you see a kid who like, can do better, and they're just not doing it. And it's like, can you just fucking, like they could be so good, and it's something's not there.
It seems like all the talent's there on the offense, and Dan Quinn's a defensive coach, so right?
That is correct.
So maybe we bring in an offensive coach, and that team looks a little different. But I'm gonna put them solidly in like the yellow. Like starting 0-2 is not ideal when you're in a division with the Saints and the Bucks, and the Panthers sometimes can be
sometimes.
Okay. And so I mean, you don't want to start 0-2. Do they make the playoffs this season?
Don't think so.
It's tough for me to say no because like they probably should have won this game today, and then they'd be 1-1, and we'd probably be talking about this a little bit differently. So
yeah, well,
I don't know.
Could you see them like after this year if they win, like say they go 8-8 or something? Like, could you see them moving on from Dan Quinn?
8-8. If they miss the playoffs, I could see him moving on from Dan Quinn.
I could see it too, just because like that's constant underachieving.
It's kind of in the same way I feel about the Vikings. It's like it's just been mediocrity for 8 years, and I don't know what it seems like it should work, and it doesn't.
The problem with that is then flip that, like you could be like, well, shit, we keep either making the playoffs and we're losing the first round, or we're just on the outside of the playoffs, and then you have a situation where you're like, all right, we got to fire this dude, bring in this guy. Then you have a situation like the Lions right now, where they fired Jim Caldwell for like going 9-7 and fired Jim Schwartz for making the playoffs but not doing anything with it. Now they're like, shit.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that's the risk you take, though.
You try to get it right, I guess. Yeah.
You can't really fall in for trying, but it's like, shit.
Yeah. So you think they'd learn, like former Patriot staff, not the move.
Yeah,
but I mean, maybe Joe Judge turns that around, and so does Brian Flores. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all our 0-2 panic meters. Let's quickly talk about the injuries today.
Okay. The shitload.
Yeah.
So we'll just go over quickly. Like a lot of this is because there was no true preseason, so there's going to be a lot more soft tissue injuries just because there's no real acclimation period. Preseason games, like practice is practice, and you might have full contact sessions, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Did you see the thing about the 49ers saying they don't ever want to play on that turf again, or they're scared to play on it?
And that has, like, people have said that MetLife's turf is bad. Like, even when the XFL was going, I think some XFL players or some XFL media was saying, like, MetLife's playing surface is kind of not so good. And if that's the case, there was a situation with the Texans not so long ago where their punter tore their ACL or something because they had, like, squares of turf, and there was a space in the square of turf, and it slipped. And he sued the NFL and won, and they were like, all right, new surface immediately. So maybe that'll change. But since it's MetLife and it's like, oh, it's a classic football stadium, blah, 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 blah. Right. Probably nothing, yeah. Like, it was the same shit for Levi's when Levi's was still around. Or I think Levi's... Is Levi's still around or is Candlestick still around?
It's Candlestick. Levi's...
Because one of them used to have...
Yes, one of them's Candlestick, one of them's Levi. Which one's which?
Because there's a hilarious...
I want to say Levi's the new one.
Okay,
Candlestick's the old one.
I think you're right, because there was a GIF of, I think it was Michael Orr at the time, where he's in his pass set and his feet are set, and a player makes contact with him and he slides because the playing surface is so bad.
Yeah, that shit was a baseball. It was a baseball diamond.
Yeah, that and Soldier Field, where there's divots everywhere because it's grass and people can't admit, oh, I haven't played on grass. No, it sucks. It sucks playing on grass. It's awful, especially when it rains. It gets muddy as shit and it's stupid. Just play on fake turf. I don't know why that's not uniform. I don't know why it's this weird thing. Just have everyone play the same. It's so stupid. Play every game in a dome. Whatever. I don't care.
When we were in high school and we used to play on grass, I'd always be like, oh, what is this filth?
Do you remember that one game where you had to put the ball, because you were the center, and you had to put the ball down like either into or right next to an anthill? Oh, fuck.
So awful. Always. If we weren't on turf, it was always miserable because it was muddy, and it was just never a good time.
So we were the B team, so we sucked. So we got the shit field.
Oh my god, it was never. It was. I just hate. I don't see how there's not any more grass fields in the NFL. I don't think.
Soldier Field.
Soldier Field is grass?
I think it's the only one.
That's crazy.
No, the Raiders' new stadium isn't. It used to be. It's not anymore.
All right.
I think it's only Soldier Field. It might be the Green Bay Stadium as well, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's always the old classic teams. We got to play on the old ways because it sucks.
You can keep your old stadium. Just rip up the grass and put some turf down.
Fucking put turf. It's way better.
Yeah. I don't
like. I don't get the whole let's play on something that's worse.
Yeah,
because that's how we did it in the 1940s.
Yeah,
wow,
that's it's big dumb.
Yes,
but okay. Big injuries. Nick Bosa, likely torn ACL was the. I
don't know if that was ever confirmed.
That was what Shanahan said.
That's what
he said. Likely an ACL. Saquon Barkley, not confirmed ACL yet, but again, likely ACL. Solomon Thomas. What was he?
Probably an ACL as well.
Oh boy. I know Anthony Barr went down today.
Shoulder injury. We talked about Drew Lock's shoulder. I feel like we're missing one major one. I can't think of it.
Paris Campbell went down today in this game. There was actually a lot of injuries in
I watched that play
in the Vikings.
Like minutes after you said it, and I was like, oh. And of course, the worst thing that happens is when somebody gets injured. They're like, oh, what a dirty play. Like, no.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't a dirty play by
he
Harrison
Smith. He
wrapped
him up on the legs.
Like it was fine.
Like that. It's just the way his foot caught on his arm.
It's just unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, you can only avoid so much when two grown men are running at each other full speed. So,
who else got hurt today that we're forgetting? There was just so many.
There was a lot. It was really rough, especially like at around kickoff because all these happened relatively early in the games. So it was. There's a screenshot. So there's a Twitter account called Roto World Football, and there's a screenshot where it's like within minutes of each other, there's like 5 torn ACLs, and it's like, oh, jeez. Malik Hooker on the Colts also probably tore his Achilles, so his Colts career is probably over. Sammy Watkins got popped today. He'll be in concussion protocol for sure. That might be the only. Cam Akers, running back on the Rams, hurt his ribs. That might be the only other big ones, unless I'm forgetting. I mean, the biggest ones were, of course,
Bosa, Barkley,
Saquon. Yeah, Drew Lock. Apparently, Jimmy Garoppolo has a high ankle sprain.
Yeah. I forgot Jimmy Garoppolo also not feeling too good.
Yeah, but as a quarterback, especially one that's not like, and Jimmy Garoppolo can move, but you, depending on the severity of it, you can tape up, take some Toradol, play through it, but we'll see what they do. I think that offense would be fine with any quarterback as long as Shanahan is a coach, but whatever. So yeah.
Okay. So injuries, it's probably just that no preseason, no training camp. Maybe that matters more than we thought it did, because that might fuck over the no preseason truthers.
Oh, CJ, the tight end for the Bengals. Did you watch the Bengals game at all, Bengals Browns on Thursday or no?
Yes.
Okay, it was when the tight end like literally caught the ball and landed, and you can see the tendon, like the Achilles tendon on the back of his leg, shoot up his leg.
I might have missed that play.
That's okay. But so like bones breaking and like arms and legs bending the wrong way doesn't bother me. When I can see muscles snapping up That grosses me out.
Yeah.
So, didn't like that. I hope he recovers, but that's tough.
I know what tight end you're talking about now because I wasn't
CJ
looking,
was
and then I looked, and he was getting, like, helped.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay. All right, we're going to do probably our largest chunk. Probably not. I don't know, really. But this is our sponsored segment from Thrive Fantasy. I don't have a name yet. We're going to have to come up with a catchy name. Like, I want it to be something like Thomas Hates You or something.
Thomas, wow. Why is that?
Because you're very passionate about this sort of thing.
I just hate bad sports takes.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thomas Hates Your Takes, sponsored by Thrive
Fantasy. I hate obscenely bad reactionary takes.
Yeah, we got to come up with a catchy name, but I just feel like this is more on you than me. I tend to be a bit overreactionary at times.
But I think I'm also not reactionary enough. I'll be like, it's fine. Yeah. And like weeks later, I'll be like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
I can tend to be a little bit more overreacty. So this is sponsored by Thrive Fantasy. We're going to go through. I'm going to act as if I am one of the fans of certain teams, and give you some takes that these local fans have, and then I'll let you shit on me and shit on the take. And I'll try to play devil advocate if I can, but I might not believe in some of these takes.
I mean, if you don't believe in it, then, and I might believe in some of the takes as well to an extent. So I mean,
fair enough. Okay.
Also, if you also have an opinion about the takes, don't just play the character. Like,
I got you. I got you.
I don't want this to be all about me.
All right, Thrive Fantasy, great daily fantasy app that mixes daily fantasy and prop bets. I played some last week, lost all my money, and I thought I was going to be good at this. Did you really? I thought I was going to be good at this. Was not good at this. But, you know, if you think you know prop bets, and it was week 1, I probably should have waited. I probably would have had a better gauge of it this week. But I'll get back to it next week, and I'll put like another $50 down and try to get.
Did you put $50 down this past week?
Mm-hmm. And I lost all of it.
Okay. Is there a minimum bet?
No. But if you want to use our coupon code Xtra Point, if you deposit $20, so you use the code when you sign up, you deposit $20 or more, you get a free $20. You'll have $40 to gamble with, and then you can just kind of play how you want to play. There's all sorts of. It's just like any other fantasy app, in that there's the $1 ones, $5 ones, $25 ones, and go in what you want and see what you can do. I didn't do too hot because I got a lot of my shit wrong, but it was week 1. And if you now or we're later in the season, we're starting to get an idea of what players are actually like this season, new faces and new places, shit like that. Go to Thrive Fantasy, use the code Xtra Point, get your $20 bonus cash, and start betting prop up. All right. So I might forget some of these, so remind me if I do. We lightly discussed this, but I'm gonna start in a place. I'm gonna start here.
All
right. Hi, Thomas. My name is Chip.
Chip.
I'm a fan of short shorts and mustaches.
Okay.
And temperate weather.
Give me your best Florida accent.
They're just southern, aren't they?
I don't know.
I like meth and bath salts. And I think Minshew Mania is running wild over the NFL.
Okay. I like Gardner Minshew. I think he's good enough to be a starter, but he's definitely going to get replaced in the draft. Minshew is very accurate. He can move. He runs the offense well. His arm strength is a problem, and that's a problem. I think Minshew gets a lot more hype because his personality, but his personality is great, so I'm not shitting on that. He seems like a cool dude. I think there are teams that could definitely use him on the cheap. I don't think you trust him to be your franchise quarterback. I think he can be a mid-range starter.
Now, okay. Do you say you don't trust him to be your franchise quarterback? Is that you don't trust him to be your franchise quarterback, or that the Jaguars don't trust him to be the franchise quarterback? Could he be a franchise quarterback on a team that actually wanted him to be their franchise quarterback?
I mean, sure, but if you're in a position to draft Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance, I don't think you. I think if you stick with Gardner Minshew, I think you're not going to be having a job.
What did Minshew put up today? Like, he had a ridiculous amount of yards, if I remember correctly.
He had 2 picks, and one was really ugly to end the game. But he played well. And he played well week 1 as well. I think he's almost playing too good because I think the Jags are trying to tank. But
oh no, it started playing audio, and now it's going to show up on the stream. God damn it,
son of a
ESPN app. Well, it was something like he's at this point like 500 yards on the season between both games.
So, do you want his stats for this game?
Yeah, give me the stats for this game.
So 30 of 45, which is a lot of pass attempts.
Yeah.
For 339 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Also 4 carries for 20 yards. 420, hey. But yeah.
What are the chances? What are the chances that Minshew's going? So I'm going to be replaced if we suck. I'm going to make sure we don't tank.
I mean, that's possible. I still think with looking at the rest of the Jaguars, they'll be in a position to get Lawrence, Fields, or Lance. So
I don't think they get any of those guys if they fall out of the top 10.
I don't think they're going to fall out of the top 10.
Now that first game against the Colts, I do think there's an element of the Colts aren't as good as we thought they were, and the Jaguars aren't as bad as we thought they were. So
I think Minshew is definitely elevating the Jags, and I do like Gardner Minshew. And he could. I said like you don't trust him to be your franchise quarterback, but like he could be. Just like I said, I think the Jaguars are going to be in position to draft one of the 3 top prospects, and I think they have to, unless Minshew just has a baller rest of the season, which he's playing well, so it's possible. But then, I don't know. Like, he's in a weird situation because he's playing too well to be replaced because he looks good, but if you have to replace him.
Okay.
I think it's more of a you have to just stick because the Jaguars are shipping players out. I think they're trying to start over, and by keeping Minshew, it's almost like they're not, unless that's what they want to do.
It's tough because I think Minshew is out of any team you could go. They're not supporting this guy. Like Minshew should be number 1, and he's playing damn well.
He's playing very well.
And there's really no excuses you can make and be like, well, it's because, of course, he's playing well. He has blah blah blah, and he has boo boo boo, and his coach is good, and blah 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 blah. You can't make any of those arguments. This is just this guy's playing good, and there's no
he's
excuses.
Playing well. But I think the Jaguars' plan all along has been let's go get Justin Fields, let's go get Trey Lance, let's maybe get Trevor Lawrence, but I don't think they're going to be positioned to get Lawrence.
So what puts this team in a position that they go, you know what, we're set at quarterback?
I mean, to be honest, like they are set at quarterback. Minshew's good enough to be your dude.
But what gets them to believe that?
I think they've already made the decision.
It would take them dropping out of the top 10.
It would take them dropping out of getting Fields, Lawrence, or if I know Lance is only playing 1 game this year because he's 1AA, but it would take them not liking the one that's there for them enough, or not having access to them in the draft. So,
okay, fair enough. All right, so my next little overreaction here.
All right. Try to do a regional accent. Oh, yeah.
My name's Tex. I'm from Texas. Yes. My parents weren't very creative.
Okay.
So I've been sitting through the last few seasons of the notorious Clapper. And now we kicked that man out of town, and we brought in the notorious Snacker and Mike McCarthy.
I love how you got way louder, too.
We're sitting here, and I'm watching this game. Now, I got to admit, we got lucky. One of them football players who not really football players that kicked the ball, did a good thing, helped us win the game. But that week 1 matchup against the Rams should have been a lock. We have too much talent on this team for Mike McCarthy to go for 2 fourth-down punts and not convert either of them. We should have lost this game. We didn't. Jason Garrett wasn't the problem.
Okay. Jason Garrett was a problem. I don't like Mike McCarthy as a coach. Sure, he's won a Super Bowl, but I think the issues that he had in Green Bay are still present. His offense is not that creative. His offense relies a lot on the receivers kind of doing a lot of work themselves. Everyone hyped him up because he was like, yeah, I'm working with PFF and all these other analysts over my year off to get better as a coach. His offense looks basically identical, whatever. I don't think Jason Garrett wasn't the problem. I think Dak Prescott is for sure not the problem. He was a baller today. Pay Dak Prescott, please. If the Cowboys don't pay Dak Prescott, they're stupid. And they deserve to lose forever. I think the Cowboys still have a great shot at that division just because that division is so awful. And the Cowboys are also a team that kind of gets it together. But I think Jason Garrett not being the head coach of the Cowboys is good for the Cowboys. I didn't like the McCarthy hire, but I think it'll be all right. I think they have a lot of talent offensively. I think their O-line needs to get healthy. I think their defense is terrible. Secondary especially, I think, is just bad. But they're also young, but they're also bad. So that's going to be a problem. But I think offensively they're doing fine, and they're going to keep doing fine. I think they'll be okay.
So here's the thing. I know the team has a shit ton of talent. You have probably maybe the best wide receiver core at this point. I'd have to think about it, but it's a very good wide receiver core. You have one of the best running backs in Ezekiel Elliott. Your offensive line is not the offensive line of 3-4 years ago. It's still good enough.
But Tyron Smith was out today. My boy Taran Steele, Texas Tech, Wreckham.
Guns out, right?
Right
Isn't that the
tackle
thing?
today. Yes, we do this. Oak State does the same thing. We do this. Oak State does don't like Oak State. They suck. And they steal all of our traditions. But anyway, Taran Steele, super good. Was the best offensive lineman when he was here. Played okay. He had a better game last week, but he still played fine this week. So good depth for them. But with Tyron Smith out, go ahead. Sorry. I sidetracked there. That's all you go for it.
All I want to say is that you need to calm down. I know the team was supposed to be fucking good.
It's okay.
But Mike McCarthy is new. I know he's not new to the NFL, but he's new to the Dallas team. And he hasn't been in the league in a little while. So
did I call him Rob McCarthy earlier?
I didn't pick up on it.
Okay. I think I called him the wrong name earlier. Whatever.
Well,
sorry.
Mike
going.
McCarthy is, give him some time. They won that Super Bowl, right? Yeah, he's won a Super Bowl.
Yes. He is a good coach. I was really convinced the Cowboys were going to be like, Lincoln Riley, how much money?
Me too. I thought that might happen too.
But whatever. Like I said, they'll be fine. Just relax. The defense is going to be bad, but you will score some points. You will be okay. Take a breath.
You know what hurt me today watching some of that Cowboys game, watching the very end of that Cowboys game?
What?
You know what they cut to after that onside kick?
What?
Everson Griffin running up this thing doing his...
They did.
And I was like, no!
Go Dallas.
I was like, no! It hurts so bad. But yeah, I think that team's probably going to make the playoffs this year. Just especially because
it's so bad.
Just because that division's so awful. And, they have the talent. Even on the defensive side, they have some talent. And
like I said, the Cowboys are kind of a team that goes through these waves of we figured it out. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, so they'll be fine.
Okay, my next one. Don't really know how to do an accent for this one.
Okay.
All right. Hi.
Hello.
My name is Chuck.
Chuck.
I'm a fan of a few things. I like wings.
All right.
I like old quarterbacks who leave their division.
Okay.
And I like going through flaming tables.
All right.
And I believe
Here we go, Buffalo. Here we go.
That Josh Allen is the quarterback of the future in this team.
Probably.
I believe Josh Allen could be the next top 5 quarterback in this league. He can run. He can pass for like 500 yards. He has a good deep ball.
He can pass for like 1,000 yards.
We've now got Stephon Diggs to throw to him. Yeah, maybe I'm feeling a little bad because Tom Brady left, and I was excited about that. Now I'm disappointed about that. But, with a guy like Josh Allen, he's kind of like Cam Newton light.
Go ahead. Mad when you just said that right there. Josh Allen has played very well in the first 2 games. Have they been against good defenses? No, but he still made good plays. Their coaching staff has done a fantastic job with him. They've been catering to his needs. They've been playing to his strengths. They've built a team around him, which, as a Browns fan, is like beautiful to see a team do that because we haven't done that in a decade and a half. When the Browns hired Hugh Jackson, as you remember, I was like, yes, we got Hugh Jackson.
That's everything the Browns do.
Not really. I've been pretty negative as of late.
Yes, Johnny Manziel, money.
I was like 14. What do you want me to do? So instead of hiring Hugh Jackson, we should have hired Sean McDermott, who's the current Bills coach, because he's done a fantastic job with Josh Allen. Do I like Josh Allen as a player? No. I think he still has accuracy issues. Obviously, it hasn't mattered these past 2 weeks because he's balled the heck out, which he has. He's done very, very well. I think when he plays defenses that have a little more of a pass rush, I think he'll struggle a little more. He's played the Jets and the Dolphins, which the Jets have nothing defensively. They have nothing. Quentin Williams is good, but, holy shit. The Dolphins have a decent secondary. Not too much in the way of front 7. Their D-line is especially bad. So, whatever. Do I think Josh Allen's going to continue being this good? No, I don't. Do I think he's the quarterback of the future for the Bills? Yes. I think they could do a lot worse. Josh Allen has all the physical tools you want. If they can continue to build around him, continue to cater to him, continue to play to his strengths, they'll be a good team. Just straight up. They've done a fantastic job with Josh Allen in bringing him along. So, not the worst take in the world.
I remember your issue because I remember I tried to pitch you on because I actually like Josh Allen a lot. I tried to pitch you on it that he's pretty damn good, and you were like, well, you don't fix accuracy.
You don't.
But.
And he hasn't.
But you put fast guys on the outside. And you got to be accurate. You got to be accurate in a 15 range window, and those guys are fast enough. You just chuck it deep, and then if that's not there, you run. It kind of works.
Yes, if you make it easier and give bigger windows to throw, Josh Allen will do well. But
and then defensively, they're not. That team's real fucking solid.
They have a good defense. No, like I said, they have a good team. They built their team well. The only shitty thing they did was hey, Tyrod, I know you've been good for us, but we like Nathan Peterman. Oh. That was the only bad thing that coaching staff has done. They've done a great job so far. Their GM has also done fantastic. I think his name's Brandon Bean. Done awesome. They've had really good drafts. They've done. Why did you smile there? Made me feel like I said something wrong.
No, you're
okay.
I was just agreeing.
They did. The Bills, as much as I hate to say it, because even though Browns fans are annoying, Bills fans very annoying on Twitter. They have a very good franchise right now.
Bills Mafia, baby.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's stay in that same division and see how I do here.
Okay.
Oh, no, this is going to be bad. Just trying to conjure it is not coming out right.
You trying to do me a Boston?
Boston.
Hot dog.
Move my car.
Move my car. Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, this is Mark Wahlberg. I can't do that.
You're like, hey, this is Mark Wahlberg.
Okay, I'm just going to do a normal accent.
Okay.
So I've just recovered from crying into my, what's a popular food item in
In Boston? A hot
My
bowl.
my clam chowder.
Your clam chowder. That's
I just got done finished crying in my clam chowder. And, because Tom Brady left me this offseason. But you know
I
what?
picked up on that.
But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I woke up this morning feeling like maybe a quarterback that's 42 years old. Maybe a quarterback that can't move.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a quarterback who's never had the strongest arm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe isn't worse. Maybe isn't better, I mean. Maybe isn't better than a 30-something former MVP, former Super Bowl participant who can move and has a pretty good deep ball. And his name is Cam Newton. And I think the future is brighter than it was under Tom Brady. And I think we're going to the Super Bowl this year.
Mm-hmm. Anything is possible when you have Bill Belichick as your head coach. I feel like that's really all I need to say. The fact that the Patriots got Cam Newton on the cheap still pisses me off. Anyone who's a Cam hater is exposed and not actually knowing what they're talking about. They're currently down to the Seahawks 17-21, but like, whatever. That division, it's really them and the Bills. That could go either way. I'd like to see them play. Offensively, the Patriots are limited in the options they have, but can you imagine how fucked they would be if they didn't get Cam Newton? If they had Jarrett
Oh, they
Stidham?
would have been done.
They'd been mega fucked.
They would have been done.
And literally, like, Jarrett Stidham, I don't know if he was a healthy scratch from this game, but he was a healthy scratch from last game. And Matt Miller. Oh, I hate Matt Miller. Because he's like, oh, you guys think Cam Newton has already won the starting job? You must not know who Jarrett Stidham is. Dog, come on. Like, you're not, like, I'm not going to complain about Matt Miller, but, like, my God. Like, the fact that they got Cam Newton on the cheap is great. They can go. It's not outlandish to say we're going to the Super Bowl just because you have Bill Belichick. You have Cam Newton, who's good. I think it'd be tough just with your personnel on offense. I think trashing Tom Brady is unnecessary, but it's definitely doable for them to do that. It'd be a tough road for them offensively, but it's not impossible by any stretch.
Okay. I don't feel like I don't have much to add here. I think the running game that Cam offers is just something that I think it's something that Bill really wanted because he loves taking things that were successful and then just incorporating them. And he got a guy that fits perfectly for you can run some of that running quarterback style, and you can still.
They got a really good quarterback.
You can kind of just do the exact same thing you did with Brady offensively, but add a running element.
Yeah. The best is the people who are like, oh, Cam Newton's not smart enough to run the New England offense. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
First of all, it's football. Like, it's not like you have to be a fucking aerospace engineer to remember a playbook, whatever. But it's just like you know, no idea what you're talking about if you have that take. And clearly you're wrong. Don't ever talk about football again.
And they still have a good defense.
They have a better defense now that Matt Patricia left, which is interesting. But
okay. Do I have any more?
You want me to talk about Baker?
Ooh, are we gonna go Baker Mayfield one? What's a Browns accent?
Ohio accent.
Are we going high or low on Baker? Because we've kind of seen both sides of it now.
Hold on, my dog is having. Okay, you okay, buddy? Sorry, he was coughing and freaked me out a little bit. So after week 1, there were so many little like, I told you so about Baker Mayfield. I told you he's bad. I told you he's so bad. On Twitter, there's a guy named Steve. Is that picking up on the mic? You okay, buddy? I think he's got some mucus. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a reverse sneeze. I've heard Penny do it before. It's good now. I don't hear it anymore.
Okay. I'm just making sure he's all right. But he might throw up mucus. That's fine. I'll clean it up later. But yeah, somebody, I told you so. Baker's so he's actually terrible. Like, maybe Hugh Jackson wasn't the problem. And it's just like, okay, listen, guys, like, oh my gosh. Or people saying like, get Odell a real quarterback is the worst take ever. Baker looked damn good week 2. I know Cincinnati's a bad defense. He still made really good throws. He looked way more confident in the pocket, even under pressure. On the rare occasions there was pressure. He had one bad interception, and that pick, I watched it, broke it down in my mind. It's a common mistake that a lot of really good NFL quarterbacks make as well when they see a wide receiver open and the safety trailing over where they can't see him all the way. So Baker Mayfield's fine. The whole "I told you so" nonsense is stupid, and in my opinion, reveals a lot of bias and a lot of just dislike for Baker Mayfield because they think he's a douche, which maybe he's a douche. I don't care. Great. I will say the Progressive commercials are a lot more fun to watch when he's not playing bad. So A+ there. But yeah, the Baker Mayfield, the whole "I told you so. Look at this."
I want to say the verdict's still out a little bit.
Sure.
I can't claim either way because what we've seen last season was bad. His first season was good, and then
if he didn't have the rookie season that he did, I would be out on Baker Mayfield.
Right.
But
now we saw him play the Ravens. He did bad. We saw him play the Bengals. He did good. Now let's see something in the middle so I can get a better gauge of where he's really at.
So I believe we play the Steelers next.
That's a good one. That's a good metric for.
No, we don't. We play the Redskins next.
Which could be a decent. Their defense isn't awful.
Their D-line very good. They have players on defense. I'll play the Cowboys after 2. That'll be interesting. But mainly what I needed to see from Baker against the Bengals, I definitely saw. Hopefully that continues. The biggest thing for Baker is he needs to just be confident and decisive, and he was that against the Bengals. That's all I needed to see. I was never off the train, but I'm firmly on the train now. I'm good. I've seen what I need to see. Let's go. Let's win 4 or 5 games. Let's draft some more talent.
Can you be knocked off the train again?
If Baker has 3 horrific games in a row, yes, where he looks skittish, doesn't trust himself or his O-line, and throws ducks, then yes, I'm off.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
Yes.
I'm still in the camp that the verdict's still out.
And that's a fair take. That's fair.
Because you can make the case. Now I know the offensive line had problems last year.
They had the worst 2 tackles in the NFL on either side, so yes.
But there is an argument to be made that you have talent on the outside and you have good running backs, and that
he was bad last year. He was bad. He was not good last year. I will be the first to admit it.
And if that keeps up this year, when the offensive line seems to be playing better,
much
from
better.
what I saw, and it doesn't seem like there's any reason he should be doing poorly. If he does poorly this year in multiple games, I don't know if it's they don't make the playoffs, he's done. I don't know if that's the expectation.
It shouldn't be because we're not making the playoffs, so it shouldn't be that.
But getting close to that point, if that defense was better.
Yeah, I could see that. But the people who say there's no excuses for Baker in this year, where there's no preseason, you have a rookie left tackle who's playing very well, but he's still a rookie, and it's a new head coach. Those are, what do you mean? It's very rare to succeed in those circumstances. And like I said, being kind of not one way or the other, or leaning one way to the other, is fair. That's a fair take. Even leaning negatively, I think, is fair, because he had a really terrible season last year. It was even after week 1 and before week 2, I told you Baker was going to be bad. I knew Baker was going to be bad. Don't you know he's so terrible? And it's you just don't like him. Because there's stuff that Baker would do that'd be well, that was all right. And then by the same analyst, I can't even think of another, Dak Prescott would do something oh, that was so good. And it's you just don't like Baker Mayfield. And that's fine. You don't need to like him as a person. He's probably not a very amicable person. I don't know him. I've never met him. Maybe he sucks. Whatever. I don't care. But it's just the whole notion of I told you so after one game of this season was preposterous. And that's preposterous for any take about any player, especially after week 1. Week 1, weird shit always happens. So
Okay. I'll let you vent there about Baker Mayfield. All right, let's talk about our last football thing and maybe the last thing. I don't know what we're at now, but let's just talk about some of the matchups next week and because we're not going to have a show again until next Sunday. So, kind of looking forward. We don't have to talk about every matchup, but let's just look at I haven't even looked at the schedule for next week, and
So Thursday, I'm not gonna watch on Thursday because I'll be tired. I'll watch it later. It's Dolphins and Jaguars. I don't care.
I guess we didn't talk about the Monday game.
The Monday game is what?
The Monday game is the Raiders,
Chiefs and Ravens, right?
No, it's Saints Raiders. Monday game, upcoming, tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. I'm so sorry. I'm looking ahead to next week.
Tomorrow, Saints Raiders.
Saints Raiders. I want to see the Saints.
And I don't want to see the Raiders. That's the analysis.
The Raiders, I want to see Derek Carr push the damn ball downfield, but I don't think it's going to happen. So, I don't know.
How long is John Gruden?
How long is John Gruden?
How
height?
Yes, give me a measurement. No. How long is John Gruden in Las Vegas?
Until he gets fired? He's there for a long time until he wants to stop. I think he has the reins there.
Okay.
I think he's the guy. I think if Derek Carr doesn't improve, I think they're gonna look elsewhere pretty soon. Maybe not this year, but next year, or maybe not next year, but the year after. But I think John Gruden, he had a 10-year, $100 million. Didn't he have a 10-year contract?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that correct?
Mm-hmm.
He's there for a while.
Fully guaranteed too, I think.
Yeah, I would love to get another. By the way, let's start. I didn't see a second of Hard Knocks this year.
Me either.
Did you?
No, yeah. I didn't watch it at all.
Because it was Chargers and Rams,
the shared. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about either of those teams.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go back and watch it now, but it's I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Same. No, I kept thinking I need to watch this. I didn't watch it this year, and then it's
Literally, the first episode came up free as an ad on the YouTube video I was gonna watch, and I was watching it for 10 minutes, and I was like, really don't care about either of these teams.
There's nothing really cool about. There's no story with at least for the Raiders last year. It was Antonio Brown. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and I mean the Raiders. It was just interesting because it's John Gruden and all that. And even though that season really wasn't that good, to be honest with you, but I would love another Raiders season. I really wish the NFL mandated, and this is no way this would work. But if you get the first pick, guess what? Guess what's coming?
Yeah,
you got Hard Knocks
then you're fucking a bad team because no one likes having Hard Knocks.
But if you're a bad team, you're gonna be bad anyway. So.
Fair enough.
But
you would have wanted to see the Bengals this year.
Yes, dude.
I would have been more interested in a team like I actually would have been more interested in a Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay,
where you're bringing in a lot of.
Weird that they didn't go to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Well, I think unless you're out of the first 5 picks, you can refuse. But if you're in the first 5 picks, then the NFL can be nah, dog, you got it, dude. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
The teams I always want to watch are the big change teams or the teams that have the biggest stories.
I just want to see teams that I think would be interesting. And just to me, the Chargers and the Rams are the least interesting teams. Yeah. I don't care. And I know the NFL is trying to push this whole LA thing, but I don't care.
I lived in the area. Yeah. The Chargers made a bad decision moving out of San Diego. Because there was passionate fans in San Diego and there's not passionate fans in LA. So, okay. Anyway, matchups next week that I think are big games. Looking here,
Bengals and Eagles will be interesting if the Eagles continue to shit themselves.
2 bad teams. Who's going to go 0-3?
Bears and Falcons. I want to see if
Packers Saints
still plays well. Packers Saints will be interesting.
Who wins Packers Saints?
Saints or Packers are kind of, I don't know.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this real quick. After 2 weeks, go. Your 5 teams that are a Super Bowl contender after 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it could be NFC and AFC. It's just all of them. Just 5 best teams. Who's going for it? Go ahead.
Ravens, Chiefs.
Those are the locks.
Those are the obvious ones. Niners still.
I'd pull that one out.
I think so. Even with their injuries, I
say
so.
no Nick Bosa, no Solomon Thomas.
Good, man. They still have good D-line depth, though. Okay, if you take away them, they have Javon Kinlaw, who's played fantastic, Arik Armstead on a D-line.
But a Super Bowl?
That's still I think Shanahan's that good, dude.
I think this year is going to be rough for him. I think this year is going to be rough for them, but
see.
I don't even know if they win their division.
I still like the Titans a lot, but that's kind of my personal bias, is I really like the Titans. Cardinals they have not played good team. Well, they played the Niners. Cardinals look good too. I don't know. Because once you get past the Ravens and the Chiefs, there's a lot of teams that's like, maybe.
Here's my 5.
Okay.
Ravens, Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Packers.
I can see that.
Patriots.
Fuck it. Okay.
Seahawks.
Okay. Seahawks continue to succeed in spite of themselves. They're actually up 2 scores in the Patriots right now.
Oh.
But that defense outside of, like, they have very little pass rush. Their O-line sucks, and they continue to just succeed. It's stupid, and I hate it, but it's what's going on.
Who's your MVP front runner 2 weeks into the season?
I mean, I think it's still Patrick Mahomes.
I think it's going to be Russell Wilson this year.
Russell
and I think it's going to be under the Leonardo DiCaprio kind of, where, like, he probably should have won an MVP by now, but he hasn't.
Has he really not won an MVP?
No.
Oh.
And
the NFL MVP award at least makes sense, unlike the NBA's MVP award.
Mm-hmm. So he's probably going to get it because they're doing the whole "Let Russ Cook" hashtag and shit like that.
I love that. As much as I shit on the Seahawks, I love Seahawks Twitter presence. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let Russ Cook is fantastic. I love that.
I think that whole movement, and Russ has been playing well, and they are letting him cook, and it's a whole narrative. There's a whole narrative there, and he hasn't won one, and it's kind of Leonardo DiCaprio thing. I think it is Russell Wilson's year.
Okay. I mean, I could see that. Yeah. The 3, obviously, it's like, well, it's either going to be Russell, Lamar, or Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, dark horse candidates, Dak Prescott.
Let's do dark horse non-quarterback.
Dark horse.
Dark horse.
Dark horse.
Like I'm from Boston. Dark horse non-quarterback.
Kind of has to be a running back at that point, because that's usually how the award is given out. So I guess it'd be Adam Jones at this point. Or not Adam Jones.
Aaron Jones.
If not him.
Has defensive players have won MVPs before.
Have they?
J.J. Watt? Didn't J.J. Watt win one?
Did he win MVP?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't pay attention to awards. Because none of my players win them. So
I like to recklessly speculate about things. That's why I pay attention to awards. If it was going to be a defensive player,
all the defensive players I was going to say have just been injured. Aaron Donald has been balling out. Another way to shit on PFF is PFF said, like, our nose tackle is a better D tackle than Aaron Donald. No. I don't care that Aaron Donald plays primarily defensive end.
In terms of defensive player of the year, you know who's really being helped this year? Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Because Danielle Hunter's out, Nick Bosa's out.
Now, something I will say about Myles Garrett is if you look just straight at his numbers, you'll be like, why does Myles Garrett get so much, like, hype? Because he doesn't put up these, like, monster sack seasons, or he hasn't at least. But I think hold on. I think Myles Garrett legitimately had 15 quarterback pressures against the Bengals. Do you know how fucking stupid that is?
Yeah.
15.
The Vikings had 4 total against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And now, of course,
like
the Bengals O-line, okay, he didn't have 15, he had 9. But 9 is still stupid.
It's more than an entire Vikings team.
Just more than the Bengals had in 2 weeks.
There doesn't look to be that many good matchups next week.
I think there's a lot more bad teams, or teams we're at least unsure about going into
Chiefs Ravens. I mean, that's probably the biggest one. Then Packers Saints.
It's a lot of teams that I like to watch against teams that I hate to watch. Like Cardinals Lions, bro. Oh my god.
The Cardinals should have that one.
And then that's gonna be the random game that the Lions win. I'm just gonna be depressed. Cowboys Seahawks, I think you just said that. Did you just say that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I think that'll be an interesting game.
I mean, Washington Browns is kind of interesting.
It's interesting to me because I'm gonna watch it. But
yeah, but I mean, it's even interesting to me because, like, they're not a bad team per se. Washington, like, they're not a good team, but they're not they're not Bengals bad.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's a step up for me to want to see how Baker does.
Would you see that's or to the common viewer that's an interesting game though?
No.
Yeah. So.
No.
God, I feel so dirty when I say common viewer, like I'm like so smart or something.
No, you're just a Browns fan.
I need to find another way to say common viewer.
I probably
common
wouldn't be
viewer.
very interested if I wasn't kind of invested in Baker Mayfield. Seeing how
Via
he
me
does.
living vicariously through my anger, where I text you like 20 times in a row, and you're like, "I'm still here, by the way." I'm like, "You're good."
Yeah, most of these matchups next week aren't like fantastic.
Niners Giants. If Nick Mullins ends up getting the start, I'd like to see that. Just because the Giants' defense is so bad, and if the Niners can't put forth an offense without Jimmy Garoppolo, we'll see. I doubt that'll happen.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that'll happen too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Cool.
I think are we wrapping up for this week?
I think that's it.
I think we're good.
Do we want to go over NBA real quick? No? Cool.
I mean, we can.
Rockets are out. Lakers Nuggets looks to be a mismatch. I thought it'd be interesting.
I really do like Jokic though.
I
watched this video
Mhm.
of like it was called Dunk Comp, and I was a little skeptical because I was like, is this gonna? But it was Jokic, and they had this. They had a good song in the background. It was just all the flashy passes Jokic makes. And I go, this might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Someone described to me like watching Jokic play is like watching a dude play on hot blacktop and bare feet. And it's like, yeah.
There's just something about Jokic I really like.
He's a goofball. Like, he's just a big goofball, but he can get serious, and he's really fucking good.
Yeah.
So,
and he's just so doughy, and like he shouldn't be as good at basketball as he is, and he's too big to be as good of a passer as he is. But like, Jesus.
Giannis won MVP, which again, whatever.
It's a regular season award, and
I still think the way that they vote for that, I think is, I don't think it makes any sense. Obviously, MVP is not like best player in the league award because it just isn't. But at the same time, I just don't get it. I think the media shouldn't have as big of a vote. I think it should be players and coaches. I don't think media or fans. I don't think fans have a say. I don't think media should really get a vote at all. Because I think, or at least limit the amount of media members, because some of them clearly just have no idea. That's all. Like LeBron only got 16 first place votes, which is, I'm a big LeBron guy, but like that, come on, like that's a little nuts. Somebody left Anthony Davis off first All NBA team, which is not for reasons that are why it's a controversy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
But that's just dumb. And she was like, "Yeah, that was a mistake," but like, shit, stop calling me a bitch. Which, what the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, last NBA thing though. The Celtics and the Heat matchup looks good.
It does look good. I hope the Heat win because I hate the Celtics.
I kind of am still calling the Heat to win it, but it's a good series.
If the Celtics go through though, and the Lakers and LeBron gets to beat the Celtics again, I will cry tears of joy. Oh, maybe so happy.
Okay. All right. Well, it was good talking to you guys this week. Good talking to you, Thomas. We'll catch you next week.
Sorry for the technicalities.
I will edit it to look as good as I can, and we'll see how it turns out. All right. See you guys next week, next Sunday. Hopefully, I won't be nearly as tired, and there'll be not nearly as many technical difficulties. Yes. Bye-bye.